Okay, let's go.
New Bedford's new online radio station. WNB1 Radio broadcasting live 24/7. All music genres. WNB1 Radio. Your urban music link.
Good evening and welcome to WMB1 Radio. It's Straight to the Point Sports, and we're here today on this Thursday afternoon with I can't even say regulars. You guys are the regulars. I'm the one that's not the regular. Steve
Deacon's
Rose
never
from the
been
Derek
regular.
and Say Show. Basically we're here, and the big news of the week, and for the past 2 weeks, obviously, has been NCAA. The NCAA is pretty much taking over the headlines, both men's and the women. For the men, we've had something that's only happened twice. This being the second time, where all number one seeds have advanced to the Final Four,
Which is good because we like the Cinderella teams, but then one of them get blown out in either the championship or the Final Four, and it doesn't make for a great game. But having all four the Final Four all number ones, not going to see a bad matchup. But you remember when the last time this happened?
Yes, the last time it happened, it happened on the exact same days.
In
The exact same days, the exact same location, on to the date. It happened
crazy.
with the dates and everything. Yeah, that is
If
crazy.
you're a numbers person, you're like,
Yeah,
damn,
yeah.
it was in San Antonio.
The only crazier thing that I've seen happen where it happened on the exact same days and stuff like that was the Washington Redskins quarterback going down with
Oh, yeah.
injury.
Oh,
Yeah,
With-
yeah.
with the-
Heisman and
the exact same final score. The shit was crazy.
yeah.
And you want to know what's even more crazy about that? They each tried to come back, and basically had their careers cut short.
Oh, those are two gruesome injuries.
Yeah.
That's a lot to ask.
So we have the men's and we also have the women's. The women's,
No major upsets.
No,
there either.
no.
Right?
no, it's pretty much going the way that we would thought it go. Women are more in line as opposed to the men. The men usually have the upsets, and
And
you know,
cream of the crop
and-
usually makes it in the women.
oh yeah. It's usually stays true to form. And time permitting, we'll talk about other things. There's some NFL news. There's some Major League Baseball news in the way of the team that we said was going to be the cream of the crop. They haven't lost yet.
But there's two teams in that division that haven't lost.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see if they can keep it going. You've only played three teams so far. So I mean, you could be, by the luck of the schedule. Who knows? But we'll see in another week or two if the trend sets. Also, if we, time permitting, we need to talk about the torpedo bats.
Yeah.
The torpedo bats.
It's illegal, but
No, not illegal.
Yeah.
But let's just say that the Yankees aren't the only ones using it.
not anymore.
The Yankees aren't the only ones using it. And the success that the Yankees are having, it not necessarily is transitioning over to other people who are using it. So if we have time, we could talk about that. NFL, we had a couple of signings.
The big one wasn't in Dallas.
No,
Right.
it wasn't.
Geno Smith. That sends a message, that Geno Smith one, though.
Yeah,
Tells you what they're thinking draft wise.
he's not. So with that, they're saying you're not a gap quarterback. If you're going to sign for all that amount of money, you're not a gap quarterback. You're going to be part of our future until we find a quarterback. So who knows? This year they may just.
They can add the best player available.
Yes.
They might grab that running back.
I think that would be great.
They
We'll
need a
see.
running back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could talk about that. NBA is just about over. We could
week
talk
left.
about Jokic's epic performance, only to be kind of derailed by Russell Westbrook missing a layup. You know something? I feel bad because Russ can't catch a break. He's been playing well all year. And even when he was with the Lakers, he played well. And it doesn't make a difference where he goes. He always seems to get dogged.
And I
somehow.
never hear him complain.
No,
And
never
again,
does.
It seems like
Never does.
if he's the Robin, he's not like what he used to be when he was Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad. I mean, at the end of the day, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. But it's just looking at his last 3 to 4 years, and at one point in the season, it's like Russ. Look at Russ. Russ does something always to make the headlines. But it's like if you look at his body of work over the whole season, he's played well.
Because he doesn't have to be the focal point
Yes.
anymore, but he's not a spring chicken no more. And a lot of his game was on athletic ability. Well, when you get in your 30s, mid-30s, you're going to lose that athletic ability. Now you got to learn to play smarter. So he's kind of explosive for somebody his age.
Oh, he is.
Just not on a regular basis, but
Yeah.
he doesn't have to be the star no more. So I like what he gives that team.
Yeah. All right. So before we dive into it, as always, if you haven't downloaded the WMB1 radio app, mobile app that is, please go ahead and do that. You can go to wherever you get your mobile apps from, whether it's Android or Apple. The app is free, so it doesn't cost anything. So if you're watching us on on social media, and you have to go somewhere, whatever, you can just pop us in on the app, connect it to the Bluetooth to your car, whatever the case is, and you can still enjoy the same thing, the same show in its entirety. All right, so we'll dive into we'll talk men's first. We'll talk men's Final Four. We'll start off with
Recap last week.
we'll recap what led to the Final Four. All right. So we'll start with one of the most entertaining games. An epic comeback by Florida. A game that they had no business winning.
That's 2 games in a row for them.
Yeah.
That teams had a chance to step on their neck, but
no business winning, being up by 9 points with less than 3 minutes to go. And then the All-American said, "Yes, I can.
Clayton,
yes,
so
I
underrated.
can." I don't think he's underrated.
No, we don't hear the pub as a player of the year candidate. He is a player of the year
get
candidate.
the press that he should be getting.
The guy in Auburn in his own conference got most of the prep. Johnny Broom and other teams. Cooper. This guy's been just as important to his team as anybody else.
He is an All-American. I will say that. But now I think he's able to highlight his talent. In the
national platform.
There you go. You said it right there. In front of a national audience. Being down by 9 points with 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go, and he just scores all 9 points.
And it didn't look like he was forcing it or taking bad shots. It was just like he knew that he could click that switch and be like, all right, time for me to become the best player on the court. And his team knew that too. Like, get him the ball. Let him do what he does.
Yeah.
But he takes good shots when he has to.
My thing is, if I'm not mistaken, this was the game where, what the hell is that point guard thinking on the inbounds play?
For Texas Tech?
Yeah.
I don't know either.
You left the
him.
ball,
he left the ball. Yes.
Where you left a wide open guy underneath the hoop with 2 seconds left.
The passer is always the most dangerous.
They always say that.
The passer.
Why? What would make you think
just stepped on the court?
Leave the ball.
The passer is always the most dangerous guy.
That's a 2-pop blame for me. The player
and
the coach not calling
it. Yes.
Because we all know that. You have to remind. You got to assume your players don't know nothing. I don't care how many times you practice it.
I can't put that on the coach, man.
No.
You have to.
No, you have to. So typically what happens is you're gonna put your most length, the guy with the most length on the ball. to hinder the guy passing, to make it tough.
I see that part, but
And then
for that bonehead mistake, you cannot put that bonehead.
He should have
mistake
been
on.
aware. Like,
no.
don't forget about the guy
But-
coming from out of
But
bounds.
but the inbounds guy is usually a guy who's either going to set a pick or the guy who's going to get the ball back.
Mhm.
So you have to pay attention to that. I know,
But
and
you don't. But you can't blame the coach for that player running off the ball to try to stop another.
I don't know what they had designed. I don't know if that was a design or that was just the intuition that he had, thinking that something else was going to happen. And he thought he was going to jump it. I don't know. But from a coach's standpoint of view, I always stress, and I know I've seen plenty of other people, and I've even seen announcers say it: don't fall asleep on the inbound,
Yes.
because they are usually trigger guys in the way of, like I said, setting a pick or running off around picks to get the ball.
And not just under the basket, even side out of
Yeah,
bounds.
anywhere.
The point guard will take the ball out
Anywhere.
because you can't deny him.
Yeah.
And then he'll come back in and he won't be accounted for. It's
And
easier to get
typically-
him the ball back.
And typically, that guy is usually the best passer.
Yeah. So he gets
Okay.
the ball in.
You're going to get him, you're going to get him in some type of action. But I'm like I said, I don't know. I can't sit there and say, but from a logistic view of just a basketball, looking, from a basketball point of view, I always say, listen, watch the inbounder. Some way, somehow, he's either going to trigger or be the person that's getting that ball back.
And there was more. That play was big, but they had several
Oh yeah.
reasons why they blew that lead and allowed, you work too hard to get up by that.
Yeah,
at
they
the end, and
so
then-
and that final 2 minutes and 40 seconds, they just went cold.
yeah.
They went cold, and Clayton
Know
went
how to
hot.
defend.
And
You
Clayton
knew
went
who was
hot.
going to take the shots.
Now, let me tell you something. The one that he hit, where he was on the guy and then he stepped back, I didn't
the
think he was
corner?
going to pull. No, at the top of the key.
Oh.
I didn't think he was going to pull that.
The one
I
that-
thought he hit one tough in the corner
three-
too.
The three that tied it up.
Yes, I did not think he was going to pull that, because it was like
That was a crazy shot.
it was like he was kind of out of rhythm, but when he stepped back, it was like everything came together. He created separation, and it seemed like all his rhythm was there. But I didn't think he was going to pull, and he did. Fortunately for him, it went in, and the rest is history. But like you said, 2 straight games. Don't know how much longer you can count on
Fate.
falling behind.
Yeah.
and-
they got the number 1 team coming in
Now-
right now.
That was the story when St. John's all season long.
Yeah,
They came back from double digits so many times.
Counting on
UConn,
defense.
17.
counting on
I
defense.
think they said 14.
Yeah, they
14
came
wins.
back so many times to win.
14 wins.
And eventually, Lady Luck's going to run out
Yeah,
on you, man.
yeah,
You
the
can't do
Luck's-
it all the time.
The luck eventually will run out. But it remains to be seen. As far as Florida's concerned, hey, a win's a win, right? They're going to the Final Four, and it lives for another day. What it does do is it brings like a flair for the dramatics. It adds to their persona, like almost like we're the comeback kids. We're doing it in the last minute, and let's face it, this is what March Madness is all about. This is the madness. We see antics like this in the end, and it only helps. So I ain't mad at you.
We'll give Clayton his props, but there was another player for Florida that really, really played with a lot of heart and soul, and he was injured the game before. The big man. What was his name? He had a bad ankle. He only played half the game before.
Is it Hoff?
Hoff.
Thomas Hoff?
They have 2 big men, but I'm trying to remember which one it was.
Well, he had 20 points and 11 rebounds.
Yeah. There was him, but that's not the one I think that came off the bench. Damn, I'm not recognizing his name. Condon, Richard, Chelenu, Clayton, Martin. But they have like a little mini twin tower. Like 2 6'10" dudes that are very active. They complement each other very well, because when one's out, the other one plays the same way, but they're very, very active in the post. They can step out and hit the 3, and they both defend, block shots, and rebound well. that's a luxury to have. Everybody's focusing on Clayton, but then you got the other two guys, Richard and Martin, who both can score and get hot on their own. They're a very well-rounded, very well-coached team. Clayton is definitely the leader, but let's not forget about their supporting cast because they're a little underrated too.
Yeah. Let's move on to we'll try to stay in the same region. So when we come to the end of the region, we can forecast who's going to be the winner and who's going to go. Auburn defeated Michigan State and the big guy.
Auburn's in trouble.
The big guy, 25 points. Yeah, he got hurt. Now
he hyperextended his elbow.
Johnny Broom?
Yes. The thing is, how bad is it? He's got pretty much had a week.
He couldn't do much with it when they brought him back, and now at the time the adrenaline was pumping, so that helped out a little bit. Now it had time to rest. Oh, whatever. It could get worse. It could get better. But I think and something like that. It's kind of
clearly he was the deciding factor.
Yes.
He was just getting into his rhythm after getting hurt late in the year.
Dominating.
It took him a while to get back to form because he had a great first half of the year.
25 points, 14 rebounds, and he went out
very high percentage.
He went out with 7-8 minutes around that time. Oh yeah. And you know what the thing with him is, he's very patient.
Chris Tab.
Oh, hold on one second. Who do we have on the line? Hello?
You.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, all right. All right, so on the line, we have Chris Tab. Chris is our resident host, comedian. But he's not here to tell jokes, guys. He's here.
Listen. Well, I'm always here to tell jokes, but I get what we're doing right now. I'm more of a visual guy, but I'm going to respect you guys not bringing me in on the Zoom because you don't want my handsomeness to dominate you three. But it's all right. It's all right. And I don't know why B-Max doesn't want me on because he's got two Albie Shores on the side of him, and he got the Bobby Brown chocolate in the middle. And he didn't want another chocolate brother to come in, but it's
coming to rescue.
I could, I am being dominated by the light skinned dudes, but listen, I'm here for a reason. I gotta keep them at bay from one another. I don't know if you watch these two are like, it's like two cats. It's like two cats with fish in the middle. And they're constantly at each other's throats.
That's during football season. Chris.
I gotta no. It happens in basketball season too. All they gotta say is the magic words. But yeah, so it's perfectly placed. And this is the reason why I'm in the middle.
I get it.
So
I get it. But let me say this. And we bring up Johnny Broom, right? And we could kind of throw in let's throw in Juju for a second. And when we talk about star players being injured, because I heard the comment to say, how injured is he? And it's a great point because these star guys, even injured, sometimes let's get him at 80%. He could still, you know what I'm saying? If we get the guy on the floor at 80%, it's still a help. It has to be the right coaching. Because if the guy can still draw the double, if he comes in and knocks down a couple of shots hurt, he's still going to draw the double. So you still got to coach to it. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So it's a great point. How bad is he hurt? I've been kind of hoping Juju was going to pull a just come back out like my man from the Knicks in the 70s and come limping back out with a knee wrapped up.
Yeah,
I thought she was going to pull a Willis Reed and come back out because the thing is, these players are so dominant that even at 70 or 60%, you force the other coaching staff to have to draw something up.
Yeah, you got to remember something. That person being on the court, you still have to account for him and what he could possibly do. You can't just say, "Oh, he's hurt. He's not
Exactly.
going to do anything," because with that strategy, you can end up killing your own self. So
They made the mistake with Isaiah. You remember
yeah.
Isaiah came out and his ankle looked like a balloon.
On one
Yeah.
foot,
Yeah,
40-something points.
yeah. So my point was, even getting back to before you came on, I was saying that he's very patient. He's not just, I'm going to get the ball and I'm going to put my shoulder or drop step and I'm going to go up because I'm physically bigger and I'm talented. He waits. When they collapse, he kicks. He finds the right guy. He has shooters.
Sure.
He has shooters on the wing. So that's a compliment to his game. He's just not like the black hole. You're gonna drop it into him and he's gonna just boom go.
And another
Right.
issue with that, he's going to force their big men to play defense, which might lead to getting them in foul trouble.
Yeah.
Even if he can't move a lot, as long as he forces them to play head and shoulder fakes, leaning into him, he could get the other team's big men into foul trouble just by being active down.
Oh no, he's gonna be able to move because it's not his leg.
Yeah, no, it's his elbow.
The thing is with his elbow,
So-
if he gets hit that one good time,
Yeah.
we don't know what.
So I know we're here talking about this because we all grew up with 80s basketball.
Yes.
And it's like between, and I think you guys are going to get into this later, between the money and the NIL, that's really what's keeping the players out.
Oh yeah.
That's really what's keeping them out, because now you're messing with their futures, right? You're messing with their futures. But on the other hand, the player is thinking of it as, listen, at the most, I've got 5 years to get one of these. At the most, I've got 5 years to get one. And it ain't easy.
No.
And it ain't easy. I can only imagine what those conversations are like.
Well, to your point, I'll play devil's advocate. With the transfer portal, it's become a little easier. Because now you can, there's no, as it was back then, you could just say, okay, I'm leaving. Okay, you have to sit out for a year.
Yep.
These guys can do like the NBA now. They can link up with their buddies, with their partners, with, people who they played for, with, or, whatever the case is. And they can say, hey, let's all just get in the transfer portal and go to this school. So it has become a little easier.
There was 1,700 kids in the freaking
Yes. The transfer portal.
1,700.
There's not 1,700 quality players.
Exactly.
So some of the people they have a lot of nerve.
Yeah.
That's D3 players. That's D2 players. But it don't matter. That's 17.
I was thinking it was just Division One. All right.
1,700 kids, bro. That's nuts.
Well,
But that's cool. That's cool. But I look at it from this side. You could hook up with 3-4 of your buddies and go to the same school and try to create, another LeBron and his boys like they did in high school, or a Fab Five. You could try to recreate the Fab Five. Do they have the coaching staff to make it happen?
Yeah. Everything.
People think coaching doesn't matter.
Oh, it matters.
You could have 5 ballers on the team. If you can't draw it up, you can't draw it up.
Yeah.
Look what happened at Rutgers this year.
That's why Michigan didn't win.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Steve
You
Fisher
see what I'm
was
saying?
over. By that time, Steve Fisher was done and over with by then.
Yeah.
And I feel like the transfer portal now is feeding in, and I'm going to bring it back to the NIL. If you're not getting the playing time at your school, how can I start to generate money for my family? I need the minutes.
Yeah.
I need the minutes. So a lot of times you got guys going to schools that maybe they don't have that guy. If I know I can go over here and be the guy, and maybe we go to the tournament, maybe we don't, but there's $5 to $8 million waiting for me, because I ain't getting no minutes over here. I can't get an NIL if I'm on the bench for Duke.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I could go over here to San Diego State and ball out.
Yeah, the patience. We've mentioned this before. The pendulum has swung. It went from the coaches before, because let's face it, if you wanted to transfer, you were sitting out a year. Now they don't have that luxury. So now there's going to be a lot of coaches on the chopping block, because what Steve just said, talking about people just like, okay, I don't like the way you coach, or you're favoring someone, or I'm out.
Look what happened at St. John's.
There you go.
Big East Player of the Year.
Was
one bad situation in one game,
bad game,
friction with the coach, and all that chemistry is gone. He's out.
Yes,
that's it, man.
because of the fact because of the fact that he sat the first 8 minutes of the second quarter.
Let's not forget he was 3 for 19.
Yeah, he was having a horrible game. There's no way to look right.
Yeah,
he couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything.
Maybe because of what Chris mentioned, he's thinking, I need that exposure. I need to be on the floor. That could lead to my NIL deal now, because he was a junior.
Yeah. So the pendulum,
and now
the pendulum has
and now St. John's got 2 more guys coming in.
Yep.
Take his spot.
Yep.
And now we're going back to you got to have the staff. You got to have the right AD, and you got to have the right coach for when he's sitting in the living room with these parents to let them know this is what it is, bro. This is what it is. I mean, this was the genius of a Mike Krzyzewski, right? And Chef obviously coached before the NIL really jumped off, but you need a dominant coaching staff and AD to make the dude understand, like, or the girl to understand. Yeah, you might not. Let me do it. But you going to the playgrounds and getting these kids out of high school and whatnot, and he already got a Benz.
Oh, yeah.
I'm driving a better car than the coach. I ain't got to listen to this guy.
Listen, I'm going to take it a step further. You're saying high school. They're reaching out to these kids now in junior high school.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. AAU.
Junior high school. Listen, there's no mistake there's no mistake in, them following junior high kids and ranking them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They go down, as so far as the 5th grade. In ranking these kids. I think it's wrong, because it puts for some kids, it might put false hope. Let's face it, some kids might peak earlier than other kids. And then with that expectation, last year I was like the 14th, and all of a sudden I fell to the 40th. There's false expectations that come with that too. I don't think at that young of an age that they should be putting rankings on kids in the 5th and 6th grade. I think, okay, once you get to high school, yes. But in grade school, it's crazy.
It takes the fun out of it.
Yeah,
everything's a business.
Yeah,
all the way down to that level.
That's what it is. That this is what I'm saying. So they're reaching out to kids now in junior high school and offering them, listen, we know you're still 6 years, 5 years away from us, but we want to be the first to say, we're looking out for you here. You could literally. You could literally do that, and
well, also when you're grabbing them that early, right? There's no consequences now.
No,
because you used to beat your chest if somebody tells you the man in 6th grade.
Oh yeah,
there's not a lot of people I'm listening to by the time I get to the 10th grade.
Yeah, no,
you know what I'm saying? I've been handed everything.
Yeah.
So. If you go to a school and they don't have a strong coach and they don't have that system in place to keep this dude in check. Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of dudes out there that should have made the league that are playing pickup games right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in a very odd time. We're seeing things that we haven't seen because of the NIL deals. And it's only going to get more bizarre. Let's put it that way.
All right, let's get back to
let's
get back to where we were saying about these young kids like in 5th and 6th grade, where I have experience with something like this, where I'm involved with the youth sports and all that other stuff, but where Mr. Tab had mentioned you had that kid punching his chest saying I'm the man, but let's go further beyond that. Now, you got this kid thinking that he's the man, but how do you think the parents feel?
Yeah.
And then the parents are all over the coaches and telling them that you ain't shit. You don't know what you're doing in coaching. My kid is the best player out here. My kid should be doing this. My kid should be doing that. that puts more stress on that coach.
Yeah,
because of them dumb parents.
It's not
So-
about team ball no more.
So the parents tend to be, the kid might be 40% of the problem, but the parents probably are 60% of the problem.
And it's not, listen, how many videos have we seen? They're not even just going after the parents. They're going after, they're not just going after the coaches. They're going after the refs too.
Yeah, the refs, opposing players, parents. It's out of control. It is. It's out of control. But like I said, we're in a time where it's only going to get progressively worse because we're in new territory. We have not seen this. So as time goes on, it's each episode is going to outdo the next, and then the next, and the next, and I don't know what to say. But we need to get back to our Final Four. Okay, so we spoke about the two winners, Florida and Auburn.
Both from the same conference.
Both,
by the
yes, both from the same conference. So now, and moving forward, and moving forward to the Final Four matchup, who do we like and why?
In that game,
Yes,
I'm gonna go with Florida.
I picked Florida to win all the way from the beginning.
Yes.
I'm going with Florida just because of the big man that's hurt. I don't know how he's gonna be.
the reason why I'm picking Florida is typically in the NCAA, we've seen it multiple times, right? The player that is doing the best and doing the most, it's like a snowball. It just keeps rolling and rolling. And I think Clayton having that hot hand, I think he is just going to go on. He's just going to go on.
To build off what you said, another common aspect that we see in this time of year in the tournament, there's always a guy that leads the championship team.
Yeah.
And I think the way Clayton's playing right now, he's the most confident and productive guy still playing in the tournament. Like, he understands when he has to step up and when he has to get the ball to somebody else. But Clayton is leading Florida, and I just love the way they play together. I don't see any jealousy, like Clayton's the best guy, but you don't see people feeling like he has to be the man.
Yeah.
He gets his other teammates involved.
Yeah. That's the reason why I like Florida. Chris, we didn't hear from you. Who do you like?
Well, I'll Florida is the head and above favorite. I feel like this is really I'll be the bad guy. I feel like this is really it's anybody but Duke. Because if Duke wins the national championship, we're going to see the second coming of Christian Laettner.
Or the Caitlin Clark situation, but with a championship.
I'm not following on this because he's not going to stay as long as Christian Laettner.
No, he's
out of there.
He's gone. Yeah,
No, but
he's gone.
Duke's always been the team that people hate. And out of those 4 teams, I guarantee if you polled all the sports fans, that's the last team they want to see win.
Yeah. I mean, Duke has always been that team that people love to hate.
Yeah.
They're always the pristine, the straight, the straight kids.
Mm-hmm.
They're the kids typically that don't do anything out of the niche. They're safe. Those Duke kids are safe. That's the best way I could put it, right? Duke kids are safe. That you never really hear anything about Duke kids.
Well, it's kept in house because of the system they have there. So don't think it don't go down on the campus
because of Mike Krzyzewski.
Set up the support system for them kids to keep them in line.
Yes, and
exactly.
And let's not get it mixed up. He still is what you
has an influence.
He's still in there. He's still in there.
Of course. So I feel like and I'm not a sports conspiracy theorist as I've heard some, but if Cooper Flagg wins the national championship, there's going to be a reckoning.
Yeah,
there's going to be a reckoning as far as him going to the pros, and it's going to be the Caitlin Clark effect all over again.
Yes, it will.
All over again, because and I mean, look, the last draft class that just came to the NBA, probably as far as achieving, one of the best draft classes I've seen in a while. Go to the top 10 that came to the NBA in that Wembanyama class, ballers.
Oh yeah. Good.
Ballers.
Good class. Definitely a good class. It's like I
So
said.
if I had to pick, I'm going Florida or Houston.
Florida, Houston. All right. Well, we haven't gotten to the Houston. We were just talking about the
that side of the bracket. Now we're going to jump over.
All right. But out of the two you named, I'll take Florida, even though Florida as a state as a whole, I don't care for.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of people that really care for Florida except for Florida people. All right, so we can move on. Now we can talk about the Safe Kids, the Duke kids, the Dukies.
How'd they look last week to you, Chris?
Don't blaspheme Grant Hill. Go ahead.
Well, we're recapping the games that led to the Final Four. So, what did you think of Duke's performance last week? Leading up to this week, did you get a chance to watch the game?
So a lot of these games have been falling on the weekends.
Well, you mean you're working or something?
Yeah.
Got no TVs at Foxborough? What's going on?
Hey, listen, man. I as much as I try to focus on one thing at a time. If I stop whipping out my phone and looking at scores, it's going to be a bad show. It's going to be a bad show. I've been a part of too many comedy shows where someone will announce the score of a game in the middle of the show.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Well, let's put it this way: Duke, it was a dominant performance. And Cooper Flagg wasn't even the main guy.
Con
Knipple.
Yes. So this is the thing. They have shooters. They have big men. They're just big all the way around.
And the light-skinned kid is a baller.
Yeah, they're just
big man.
He's tough.
They got 3 first-round picks in the upcoming draft on that team right now.
They are just so Duke is just big and skilled. They are big and they are skilled, which is, I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that. Which is going to make it tough on whoever faces them. So they pretty much had their way. They were able to dominate Alabama, and Bama couldn't do anything.
And you know what surprised me? Alabama's guard, Mark Sears, had been playing great. He didn't look so great. No. And I think he had one of those 3 for 19 games.
Length coming at you.
Couldn't penetrate. Couldn't go down the middle.
There you go.
Yeah, too much big men.
So if I know you, my thing is if I have big men and I know that you're a guard, I'm running at you. Go ahead. You want to go down the middle? Go ahead. I got a 7-footer waiting for you. I got a 6'10" guy waiting for you.
Flagg might be a 3, but he's a 6'10".
Yeah.
All forward 3, but he's still 6'10".
He's a big dude.
He's averaging like 3 blocks a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you got the big guy with the African name there that they projected him to be a first-round pick. He might be the first big man off the board.
So they had 4 out of their starting 5 players in double figures.
Common is his name, Common Malauch.
Yes.
Malauch, yeah.
So Cooper Flagg wasn't even the main man. So this tells you the depth that they have and moving forward. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take, I would say, like an NC State game to beat them. A perfect game. It's going to take a perfect game for someone to beat them. Or they're going to have to be really off.
We get into their opponent.
Yeah.
They bring a lot of interesting things to the table that could disrupt the comfortableness of how Duke plays.
Yeah. So, all right. So we'll get to it. All right. We'll talk about Houston and Tennessee. So Houston, we know that Houston they have a great defense. All right.
They have athletes.
They're athletes.
Yeah. They want to play defense. It looks like they love to play defense.
They're athletes who can get up and down the court. They're in your face, baseline to baseline, sideline to sideline. They're in your shirt. Could this be a matchup against Duke where it could be a possible upset. I don't put anything out of anyone in March Madness
Yep.
because we've witnessed
Like boxing styles make matchups.
and
Who's gonna put
but
their style on you?
but the thing is, it's not unlike the NBA. You don't get 7 games to
Oh, no.
make up for your mistakes.
Yeah.
It's just a 1 game, 2 halves, and then that's it. I could say, okay, if we were to play, let's just say, for the purpose of what I'm saying, Houston could, if you look at it on paper, you're probably going to say Duke is the better team. If Houston were to win and Duke would say, oh, you know what? If we played 3 or 5 times, we'd probably win 4 out of 5. Who
They
cares?
have a chance to adjust.
That's right.
But if that Houston defense disrupts the guards and they can't get the ball to their scores, that could be.
Yeah. Well, they're going to have to be on top of their game. And I think, the smothering defense that they are, they're going to have to push it up probably another 30% to stay because of the fact that you've got height involved. Height changes a lot of things.
They're still going to play offense.
And four
Well, let me
guys can bring the ball up on that Duke team.
Well, let me throw an interesting stat in that I'm sure the Houston staff does not want to think about. Houston has been in the Final Four 7 times, and they've never won the national championship.
Yeah.
Which
Even
is the
back in
most
Clyde
time.
Drexler days?
Yeah, they lost.
Which is the
I
most
thought they
times
went to the
a team has not won a national championship.
Never won.
Never won.
I thought you said never got to the championship.
No. They got to the championship and they lost.
They lost to Georgetown.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just I mean, eventually.
So
you got to.
If you got that, you've got that floating over your head. I don't care what anybody says because it might be a different set because the last Final Four they were in was 2021. So you could have a little bit of hangover there. There could be some hangover. And I guarantee you there are coaches on that staff who were part of that. So it's not something that you can dismiss. It's impossible.
Well, this is so correct me if I'm wrong. They weren't they in the Final Four last year or the year before?
Last year, and they lost to Duke, I believe.
They lost. No, did they make it to the Final Four? I want to say. I think they lost. No, they made it to the Final Four.
I thought I saw something that said they made it, but they lost.
So in the last 3 years, they at some point during the season, they have been a perennial number 1.
Their guard got hurt last year, and
yes,
losing. He's in the NBA now. He was
yes,
the lead guard last year.
So yeah.
Hung up on him.
I didn't hang up.
I just heard going.
I didn't hang up. I didn't do nothing.
Maybe he was driving him.
I don't know.
So you've got Duke who knows how to win a national championship versus Houston who doesn't want to make a mistake.
Well, if I'm a coach, I'm telling the kids, listen, you had no nickel in that dime. That's history. We're here to wipe history off. I'd put that aside easily.
Last year's
yeah, you could use it as motivation, but I'm just saying you can't forget it.
Oh yeah, I know. But
it's there.
With me as a coach, I don't bring it up. I don't bring it up. I just bring all the positives and all the negative. And if that's brought up to me while my players are around, I'm gonna say, hey, listen, my players weren't here. They didn't lose those championships.
Well,
it's a new regime.
Trust me, they already know when they committed to the school.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, you use the history as part of your recruiting. You say, hey,
exactly.
Listen, 7 times we've been to the Final Four. 3 times in the last 5 years. Such and such.
Building on something.
Yes.
Last year's Final Four: UConn, Alabama, NC State, Purdue.
Okay, so they lost in the Elite 8, I want to say, but they were in the Final Four the year before that.
NC State.
Yes,
last year.
The year before that they were in the Final Four. So yeah. But in moving forward, looking at the matchup in the Final Four, let's talk about that. Duke versus Houston. So we know that Duke. We know that what Duke is capable of. They've got 5-star recruits all over the court. as opposed to Houston, who they're more of the blue collar team that goes out, gets in your shirt, gonna pick you up, do everything. They just have to. To me, don't change up what you're doing. Play. I'm speaking about Houston. Play how you have been playing. And I think if they come out and they punch in the mouth first, it'll be a different ball game.
Because they'll gain the confidence.
That's right.
Take some of the confidence.
If you want to listen, it goes back to anything, right? And anything you do in life. All right. We were always told, right? If you punch the bully in the face, you're going to have the respect of everybody else, right? So you come out and you punch that bully in dead square in the face, and then you stun him. Oh, I'm in for a fight. And this is what they need to do. They need to come out and punch first. I don't think it would be a good look for them to get punched in the face. And now here's with they're as good as advertised. They're as good. To put any self-doubt in the back of their mind. Hit first.
You don't want to have to come back. You don't want to have to come back. Stay attached.
Exactly.
Stay attached.
But that might be the same thing that Duke's being told.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Duke. I'm sure Duke is. They're probably saying, listen, don't play any games because this team is here for a reason.
Yeah,
they're number one for a reason. We're all number ones for a reason.
Yep.
Don't take it lightly.
And
don't take it.
There's one thing I don't want to sleep on. I want everybody to be well aware of. Duke's got all the talented McDonald's All-Americans on the court. But Kelvin Sampson has the most coaching experience. John Shire, we have not seen in this position before.
No.
He's only in his second or third year.
Yeah.
So he has to adjust to this pressure and learn how to adjust. If Houston comes out and punches him in the mouth, how does he respond? Is he capable of making the right in-game decisions? Now, Kelvin Sampson is very underrated. And he's been around for 25, 30 years, and he's won everywhere he's gone.
Yeah.
And I think coaching is part of the reason of this success because they don't have the McDonald's All-Americans. They're being coached up. Teaching that defense is a coaching move. Spreading the ball, making people uncomfortable. I think if the game's close, Houston has a very good chance to win it because I think Kelvin Sampson will outcoach John Shire.
Well, Chris said it in the beginning. Coaching does matter.
It does.
Coaching does matter.
I just didn't want to bring it up then because I was like, oh, that was something I was going to mention.
Coaching does matter. Let's face it. You can have, like you said before, you can have 5 All-Americans. And if you get caught in a situation where you need to draw up a play or do something, and you don't have that, that skill set, then clearly it's going to show. So coaching does matter.
And did you happen to see the post-game celebration when they were interviewing Houston?
Is that when all the guys came?
Every guy was there.
Yeah.
Giving credit to the next guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no I'm the man guy on Houston.
No me.
It's team. It's where's our best advantage? Well, if the center's having a good game, he'll be the guy with you. If the point guard's going off, there's no ego on that team.
Yeah.
They just want to win. They look like they genuinely enjoy playing with each other.
So I think they're taking that model from somebody who's close by to them in the pro ranks. They're taking the they're taking the same steps that OKC does. If you ever watch OKC, it's never a one guy interview. All right. So when SGA gets interviewed, there's usually 4 and 5 guys around him.
And Jalen.
There's usually 4 or 5 guys around him. It doesn't make a difference. If it's Chet, then you still have 4 and 5. If it's Williams, you have 4 and 5 guys. It's like, listen, I don't want to be the guy. We're gonna show out together as a team.
Yeah.
And that's catchy. That's catchy.
I like the approach. I like the team approach. Getting back to team basketball, and that just helps people mentally to know that I matter on this team. Not to get corny with it, but if you're only interviewing Jason and Jalen at the end of the game, I'd like to say that the Celtics starting 5 the Celtics starting 5 and most of their bench is better than most of the league. So I'd like to occasionally see Derek White in an interview. I'd like to occasionally see a Drew Holiday in an interview.
Exactly. Yeah. Major contributors. And at points in time last year, a different one of them had to step up when the others weren't having a great game, and they were capable.
Yeah.
But when they weren't, they were quite comfortable being in that support role too.
Yeah. And I think in a college setting, I think that's crucial. Because of the fact that you keep kids attached. You keep kids attached. You don't, it's almost like a train, being derailed and you're leaving some behind. You bring together the kids, and it's something that I teach my kids is we win together, we lose together. I don't want to see no one hanging their head. I don't want to see you pick your head up, we walk out together, we come in together, we walk out.
And for college, we could circle back on that point. If there's 5 or 7 of us that are bonded as brothers, you ain't got to deal with the portal stuff.
Yeah, because they want to be there with each other.
Yeah.
All comes back to that dynamic coaching staff.
Yes.
Assistant coaches don't get nearly enough credit.
No.
Nearly enough credit.
Coach might have a way of keeping somebody's head in the game or motivating somebody that maybe
because the head coach can't. The head coach can't do it all.
No. And 12 guys.
No. So the most important thing, right? You think about it, right? You brought up a great point. The head coach needs to be, let's say a player picked up their 3rd foul in the first half. Now the player is kind of discombobulated. The coach, don't worry about it, go. He goes to the bench, right? That's what the assistant coach is there for. The head coach has got to focus on the game.
Yep.
He can't be focusing back on how the play is going or whatever. That's what your assistant coaches are for. To coach these kids up, to give them confidence, to instill everything that they need in. These are the mistakes
you made. This is
what
you can't do when you get back in.
Listen,
we need to have you in the second half. You're going to be very important. So the guy's out of the game. He's not happy about it, but the assistant coach is keeping him mentally in the game.
Yeah. That's something, once again, those are the.
Because if I'm the head coach, I'm not turning to the player to ask him, is he ready to go back in?
No.
I need to talk. I need to talk to somebody who knows they got you back. They got you back in the right headspace.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't. I don't want to be one of these. A lot of people don't. But assistant coaches now in the NBA with the rewind to ask for a blue light special.
Mm-hmm.
Critical.
Yeah.
Critical.
Yeah.
That is going to play such a big part in these playoffs. It's unbelievable because we've seen it happen too many times. End of game situations and you're out of timeouts.
Yeah, because you've got players. You got players in the first 3 minutes who get fouls, and the first thing they do is they're twirling their finger. It's like, no,
yeah, asking for a review.
No, this isn't something that we just use because you feel that you didn't commit a foul.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that we need to, fall back on in the waning minutes, the final quarter.
And it's not the player's call to call.
No.
The coaches will
the coaches,
yes. One of
yes.
the assistants or something. That ain't the player just because he doesn't agree. No.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I agreed with a ref's call back in the playing days and stuff. You never agreed with the ref's call.
And it's time and score too. Just think about it, right? If you're up by 16 points and it's the 3rd quarter and you commit a foul and you're like, I didn't foul him. Why? We're up 16 points. Is that one foul going to really match against something? Suppose the team goes on a 14-0 run. Now we're in the 4th quarter. And a turnover that could probably change the wave of the game. Now you can't challenge because you use it. So you got it's all about time and place too.
This is why coaching and that staff matter.
Yes,
because you get Giannis turning around twirling his finger. You got to be a strong enough coach to be like, no.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. You get Ja Morant turning around challenge it. No. Yeah. No, we're not doing it. But this is why players get coaches fired.
Yeah. Well,
players get coaches fired. Weak coaches.
Well, what
Giannis is good for that.
What is more of a perfect example of bringing in a valued coaching staff? What did they do with Joe Mazzulla, right? A lot of people thought that he wasn't, listen, he might have
I
been
didn't think
over
he
his
was
head.
ready. Yep.
They lost. They brought in some very reputable guys. Sam Cassell, right? Some very reputable guys. And this guy had been in the Boston organization when they won a
That could
championship.
help him with their experience.
Yes.
He learns the job.
So they bring these people in to help you. You know what I'm saying? All they're an extension of you, but they're there to fill in those little gaps. And they're there to sometimes see things that
Well,
you might not be seeing in the same way. And he's the
I'll
perfect example.
I'll say this. Joe Mazzulla, he got the keys to a brand new Benz when he got that.
Absolutely.
They were right there. But it was his job not to mess it up.
Yeah.
He had to learn
It
how
was
to be
his
in that
job.
position and how to handle that.
Yeah.
Because the wrong coach in that situation can send the Celtics completely the other way. So I'll take my hat off to Mazzulla for getting the keys to a Benz and not getting in an accident.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, in my opinion, it helped out getting Marcus Smart out of there.
Yeah, because he thought he was one of the big three go-to guys.
And they say that he was a bad.
And he divided the team.
Yeah.
He had Jaylen Brown and them on one side.
He's a bad
and
locker
Jason
room
Tatum.
guy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not the biggest Celtics fan. I'm an NBA fan first, but we can have a whole other conversation about. I need to be in studio for my Celtics conversation.
Well, there's only a week left to the season, but before we get off topic, who are our picks in that Houston and Duke game? How do we see that playing out?
I'm going Duke. I'm going Duke by 13 at least.
Yeah,
I'm going to be rooting for Houston, but I'm picking Duke to win.
Yeah, that's my mind's.
I got Duke in Florida.
My mind's
championship.
telling me no.
Mhm.
You know, but my wallet. Yeah, I'm going to say Duke. I'm going to.
I had a
Duke.
bet. I'm betting on Duke, but I really want to see Houston.
I'm going to say
get to that championship.
I'm going to say Duke. All right, now
let's go Duke for history.
All right, so now we've narrowed it down to 2. So now we have the general consensus was Florida and Duke. In a perfect world, who do we have?
We have Duke.
I got Florida.
I've got Florida.
I've
got Florida.
And mainly because of their conference.
I've got
their conference. They played every top team in the country. They're not intimidated.
I've got Florida. I've got Florida because I believe
Duke handled that conference as well.
I believe.
I just looked up the score.
Yeah, no. I mean, the ACC isn't a slouch. I mean, for the top teams, and as far as Duke,
Charles Barkley have something to say about it?
As far as Duke, but
Did he guarantee anything?
but this is what I'm saying. I've said it. I think you've said it. The NCAA tourney typically is driven by guards, and if guards can get it, we've seen it with some of the greatest UConn players, right?
Yes, Kemba and Shabazz
Napier. Yes.
Khalid Al-Amin.
Yes, we've seen it. If those guys get on a roll, such as the role that Clayton is on,
they control the ball, the pace of the game.
That's right.
Who gets the ball?
That's right.
But a guard has the ball in their hands, so they have the most chance to take over. If a lead guard gets hot, and Clayton, the way he's been playing at 6'5" too,
tough to stop. He's a great finisher, great shooter.
Doesn't take bad shots.
No, yep. I mean, my thinking is this might be the UNLV game where UNLV was an overwhelming favorite playing against Duke, and they beat him. I think this is
early in them.
Beat him by 2.
Yes, this is the game. Hopefully, I'm only forecasting, but and I'm a little biased too because I did pick Florida as my winner.
But I thought Florida was the best team at one time. I thought Auburn was, but I think Florida has been the most consistent and the most dominant team all year.
Head to head this year, Auburn beat Florida.
Yeah. Yep.
And Duke beat Auburn.
And that goes out the window.
Yeah, I know. You're right.
Because the thing I like about Florida, they played Auburn, but then next week they had to play Tennessee, who we just saw lose in this round. And then next week they had to play Alabama. The constant high quality of competition that they had to play in that SEC conference, I feel like it's just another game to Florida. The moment's not going to be too big for them because they were prepared well by their schedule.
Yeah.
They were challenged every single week. They had to play somebody in that conference that was a national power. They had 14 teams in there.
I'm just going off of the the guy who's on the most scoring a roll, and he's that guy. I'm going to keep going with that wave. I'm not going to get off it until I
We
have
see
to.
it being close.
Oh yeah. I don't foresee any blowouts. I think all the games will be pretty much close.
So
I'm talking about the championship game.
if we get to Monday night and it turns out to be Duke in Florida, is that going to be the nail biter we're all hoping for? Because I'm really hoping for
I'm sorry,
close competitive
Florida
game.
beat Auburn at the first game.
Okay.
Well, I'll say this: men's college basketball definitely needs a punch right now. You know, because I'm more compelled by the women's bracket than I am by the men's bracket, and that's been the last 3 years.
And I know that exact feeling because I've been like, I call Brian and I'm like, yo, have you seen? He goes, oh, I just switched over to the men's game, and I'm like, why? The women's game's more exciting. Like, I've learned to appreciate the women's game the last 3 years because it's not just one team that dominates or two teams anymore. Now there's 8 or 10 collective teams with a bunch of good players, and they seem like they play from the heart more.
Yeah. So last year's women's bracket was much better than the men's bracket. I'll definitely say that.
Hands down. Well, I mean, let's face it. We for the last 2 years, we got a rivalry. We've got Iowa, LSU.
South Carolina,
yes. So there was a reason for it, but the baton has been passed. Let's not try to put women's basketball down. There's still a lot of great players. I mean, we still have
definitely.
We still have the Page Brockers. We have Juju. There's a lot of great female players, which is great because it makes for a great segue. Because now we can talk about the ladies.
But hold on, before that, like, I know that these guys said that the women's college basketball tournament is better than the men's, but because I believe I heard Steve say it's always the same teams, but in the last 4 years, it's always been 4 different teams in the Final Four for the men's, besides UConn.
No, I'm saying usually in any given year, there hasn't been as much debate over, like this year. Just like women's, there could have been 8 teams that claimed to be number one at one. Houston was number one at one time. Hell, Kansas started off number one, but didn't keep up. Florida has been number one. All the teams this year have been competitive. But I'm saying that's happened somewhat before, but there's been no Cinderella upsets. All the high-powered seeds have got there. But in college basketball, you always knew that UConn or South Carolina would find their way to the championship because the cream would rise to the crop. They didn't have so much competition like USC, UCLA, Notre Dame. They didn't have as many. This year, men's college basketball has a lot of great teams that could make a claim. But I think everybody thought Duke and Florida were the best teams anyway.
Well, to that point, that's a great point. And the reason for that, the reason why I'm saying the women's game is better. So you take a dominant men's college program. It's different than the pros because you take a Duke or a North Carolina or when Georgetown was in their heyday. To keep a program in a top functioning program, high in seeded teams, with a rotation of different players every 2, 3, and 4 years is impressive in sports. You know what I mean? It was the brand. It was the brand of Duke. Like how does Duke end up, top 5 teams every year? It's recruiting. Yeah. Now we're seeing it in the women's game. But South Carolina is a powerhouse team. Now they're the Duke of the 2000s that Duke was in the 90s.
But that back then, them Duke players, when the players that they recruited, they stayed all 4 years.
Committed. Krzyzewski did not like the one and done
like
stuff.
The women and the women's game. Them players are staying all 4 years.
Exactly.
And the men's game,
and more of the talent stay put.
In the men's game, we get a lot of ones and done.
One and done
everywhere you go.
Well, you got to remember the rules are different. So for college men, you could be one and done. it's not the same case
Yes, exactly.
in women's basketball.
In
So
a
you
way,
can-
I
you-
can see that's why the women's is getting better.
Yeah, well,
Because
you're
The
seeing
teams are more competitive.
you're seeing
'cause they're
you're
staying together.
seeing a lot of skill set. I think the women's skill set in the last 5 years has made leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
I
And you have and you have those better storylines now.
yeah
Now you want Juju to get one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Same team. She's not going anywhere. You want Paige to get one.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the storyline.
So I agree with both sides. I think there's some truths to both sides. It's just for me, it's like I said, I think that the women's basketball game, as far as the talent set, it's just grown. We weren't accustomed to watching women shoot 35 feet out. We weren't
Quality of play in
we
general
weren't
has just
we weren't
raised up.
this is what I'm talking about. We weren't accustomed to women who have handle like an Allen Iverson coming down,
Mhm.
spinning, going between their legs, crossing people. We weren't accustomed to that. Typically the women's basketball game was slow. It was kind of pretty much the same thing. It was bland. It didn't have seasoning.
But I must admit, sports wasn't getting as much play as it's getting now either.
Well,
Didn't have the
listen.
fan base.
So listen. The reason, and I think we've discussed this before. The reason for a lot of people gravitating towards the women's sports is now the men. The men have hopped on board.
Yeah, they're supporting it because it wasn't
It
women
wasn't
weren't
that way.
supporting the women.
Yes,
But
no.
now the guys are
It's the
appreciating
men.
it, and they're tuning in.
It's the men.
We're increasing the ratings.
Yeah,
and the
that's what it
attendance.
is.
There's more guys at the women's games than you see little. I thought there'd be an influx of little girls supporting Caitlin Clark and all their favorite Paige Becker's, all their favorite players. But when you look around at the women's game, you still see more men there.
Yeah.
All right, and I hope I don't sound like a bigot or a perv or anything, but do you see the way these women look nowadays? That's going to bring out the guys.
Oh, because there's a lot of
The sex appeal.
yeah.
Yeah. They're not.
They're doing modeling in the off season.
No, but I'm
So the
saying
women-
that. So that's
But
so
they're
the
still
women-
talented.
no, I'm not saying that they're
Yeah.
not talented.
So the
but
women no
Come
longer
on.
look like Cheryl Miller. That's what you're trying to
or
say.
SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Why you picking on Cheryl Miller?
Because it's the truth.
Or SpongeBob. You know what I mean?
No,
Like, these
some of these
are
women, but to his point, some of these women in their NIL deals, a swim model.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's taken on.
They're incredible athletes with incredible athletic bodies, and it's nice to look at as well as appreciate them on the court and off the court.
And,
Yeah.
and not for nothing. They going into these games dolled up. I was watching a
Oh,
college
the
game.
eyelashes. that
Eyelashes,
drives me crazy.
hair,
I was watching a college game
edges.
the other day where a chick had a full fledged nails.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
like,
know
how do you
the
play
heck you're
basketball
playing
with nails?
I don't know how you're playing with nails.
It's crazy.
I don't
That
get
and the
that.
eyelashes. There's no place when you get on the court.
Chick had eyeshadow, like
Yeah,
eyeliner. I'm like, yo, you're playing basketball.
yeah. I mean, to each his own. If your makeup doesn't match your game, then poof, off the court you go. You know what I'm saying? Poof, off the court you go.
Best looking assistant coach
Yeah.
on that team.
But like I said, there's truths on both sides. But for me, I think it's the quality of the basketball game itself. I think women have their skill set has reached a point where I think they've gained the respect of a lot of males.
Yep.
And this is the reason why the quality of players especially have showed out, and it's piqued the interest of a lot of males.
I hate to beat a dead horse on this, but I feel basketball fans in general were robbed last week because we were waiting for that showdown.
Yes,
Juju and
Paige,
Becker.
yes.
And it was so unfortunate that Juju got hurt because I like teams to beat other teams at full strength. And I think if you ask Gino Auriemma or anybody on UConn, they wish that Juju would have played in that game because they don't want to get what if Juju was there?
Yeah,
And
you don't want to have the asterisk.
I wanted to see two of the greatest players in women's college basketball go head to head when it mattered.
And unfortunately, when we watched them when we watched them in early January,
UConn
wasn't at Food Shop because they
Yep.
didn't have FUD.
Easy FUD, yeah.
They didn't have FUD. And they only won by 2 points.
Mhm.
They only won by 2 points. So that was the buildup that we were waiting for. We were like,
Yeah.
listen, this is a full strength. Let's mano y mano. Let's
Yep.
see who
And we were talking about what a shame that they're in the same region that they're
Yes.
going to play in the Final 8. That's a
Yes.
Final 4 game.
Yes.
And that's last year we really got excited when it got to the Final 4. This year I've been excited since it was down to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, because
To get the
quality
matchup.
teams.
Whoa, these teams are playing.
Quality
Oklahoma looked
teams.
good and Duke looked good and North Carolina. Now it's like, whoa,
Now,
good
hey,
teams.
not to change it a little bit, but I'm still going to keep it on women's basketball. What is up with Notre Dame's roster?
Oh,
Yeah.
we talked
We
about
had
that
talked
before
about
you
that,
got
yeah.
here. I
Yeah.
was going to bring that up.
You can explain
That's
it real quick.
crazy.
Okay, so did you hear? Because the same thing happened to Indiana in men's basketball. They have 0 players left because they had a coaching change, right? Everybody graduated or left.
Providence College has
Providence
4
College.
guys.
Now, USC. I mean, I'm sorry, they're another one too. But Notre Dame. You know what the rumor is coming out, Chris? I don't know if you heard this too. Does anybody know why there's been a departure, an exodus from Notre Dame?
No.
Because they're saying that nobody can control Hannah Hidalgo. The coach allows her to do too much and that she's not really a team player because she has to be the focus. Olivia Miles was the number 1 player on that team before Hidalgo got there. She blew her knee out. Hidalgo came in, to her credit, and played like crazy, but they said she doesn't share the ball. Molly Westball, Olivia Miles has a chance to come back, and there's reasons why she's going to come back. There's an impending work stoppage getting ready to happen, so why go to an WNBA that might be on strike? And the biggest salary you can have as a rookie in the WNBA, $78,000. One endorsement deal covers that. So stay in college. Don't worry about the impending WNBA strike, because when you come out next year, that money's going to be higher. And you can make money while you're there. But she doesn't want to come back to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Molly Westball, the 6'5" center, who has a chance to be an All-American, also in the transfer portal.
Yeah, this basically she's starting their growth.
They're saying that she's turned into a prima
diva.
donna, and the coach can't control her. And since coach doesn't, Chris, what you say about coaching? You can have all these All-Americans there, but if you can't control them,
Coaching matters.
yes,
You got to have the right staff.
and
You got
everybody's
to have
exiting
the
Notre
right
Dame
staff.
because
Or
you can't fix it.
this is what could happen. Or this is what could happen.
Yeah, there's 2 returning players on a team that was supposed to be Final Four.
Which on top of that, right? So you know, if there's any truth to what you're saying, we know how sports works. Once it's out there that you're a problem or you're, can't be worked with or whatever, it doesn't matter how much talent you have. You're gonna end up on your 7th team, getting traded every season and everything else.
There's a girl in the WNBA doing that right now.
You gotta have the right coaches and support system around you. Imagine, and not to get too far off topic, imagine if LeBron James or Steph Curry was arrogant. Imagine if these dudes were like, imagine if they were arrogant.
Oh, okay.
Imagine if they were just, like head cases. You know what I mean? We've seen so many guys super talented, but you can't control yourself on the court. You just doing weird stuff. You're out of here. Out of here.
Yeah. It's just it once again we're talking about when it all comes down to the end, we're talking about it all leads to the same thing. We're talking about individuals who are out of control as a result of I want my brand to be good, which points at NIL.
So basically, like I just want to touch up on that what he just had said, like self-proclaiming yourself as the king,
as the GOAT,
the greatest of all time,
as the GOAT.
That's kind of like an arrogance, though. No?
Yeah.
But his style of play has been team friendly. Like,
no,
he's not afraid to get others involved. But that statement,
he's not afraid to jump on or have other good players jump with him either.
So Chris, we're down to the final four.
I think
how do you see the women's final four playing out?
Okay, say again. What was the question again?
How do you see the final four women's playing out? We went over the men's. How do you see the women's final four playing out? Which, by the way, starts tomorrow night.
I'm kind of a homer on this. I want to see another one for South Carolina. So I'm taking South Carolina straight through. I'd love to see it for Malaysia for Wiley and Dawn Staley just pick up another one.
Yeah, they won last year.
Where are you from?
When he said a
Chris?
homer, I was like, "What do you mean a homer? South Carolina ain't near us." That's
Oh,
not.
he's just saying because they won last year.
Okay.
I was just saying. I
like,
thought he
where
was
you from,
agreeing
Chris?
with me. I
Like,
lived
where
in
you
Connecticut
from,
for 20 years. I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be." Wait a minute, South Carolina.
Well, my mom got rest her soul was originally from South Carolina, so I'm a
There's
little
the
bit of a
homer
homer.
part. Okay,
I'm a little bit.
because I'm a
A
homer.
little bit of a homer.
I watched 20 years of UConn basketball in its prime, and I like the brand. I like the style. I like Coach Auriemma. What he gets, he demands greatness out of his players, even the greatest players. Every one of those girls that he had come down the pike, they've all had confrontation with him, but they've worked it out.
I respect him.
Paige, you hear what his interview with Paige Beck is? Well, she don't listen to me. Maybe she'll listen to you. I've been telling her she needs to dominate more, but she's too much of a team player. The last 3 games, 30,
4 games,
33, 40.
30 at minimum.
She
30.
took over when it needed to be taken over and carried that team.
Minimum 30 points in the last 4 games.
Yeah.
She's doing something that we're watching a superstar. I mean, we're watching a superstar being born. We always knew.
Yes.
We always knew, but she was interrupted by injuries.
Yes.
Plagued by injuries for the past 2 years.
And now Juju, who's also in that lineup,
yes,
she's going to have to go through the same thing.
I thought it was very classy how Paige reached out to her.
Of course.
Said, "Listen, I've been through this,
supported her.
Don't put your head down. Things will get better before they get worse.
Yep.
All right, things will get better. Just stay patient.
I'm here.
If you need me,
it all goes back. It all goes back to these women from these programs just having great programs around them. All the alums from South Carolina and the alums from UConn, all thriving right now.
They graduate.
No
and they
problem.
Come back and keep giving to the program.
Yeah.
I see Aaliyah
Exactly.
Boston and Asia Wilson at every South Carolina game, cheering on their squad, proud.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's all due to the support structure
strong
around them.
Yeah, Dawn Staley, Gino Auriemma, God rest her soul, Pat Summitt when she was at Tennessee. They built programs that people wanted to be a part of, and it's not always going to be easy. Just like a parent, a coach's job is very similar. Sometimes you got to give tough love. You don't stop loving a player, but look what you mentioned. Full Wiley, you saw what Dawn Staley did with that when she started getting a little too big for her britches, right? Hey, sit down next to me. You're either going to play team ball because she's the most talented player on South Carolina, but she comes off the bench because she's instant offense, but she wants to be the star. And Dawn Staley said, not here in this program. You're part of a team. You're one cog in the engine. And when you start thinking you're bigger than the program, you can sit somewhere down. Yeah. I got another All-American that can come off the bench.
And Dawn Staley can walk it like she talk it.
Yeah. She not only is a coach that is has been to the top of the mountain, but she's also a player that's been to the top of the mountain and well respected,
college and pro,
and well respected.
Olympics,
yeah.
She's been through it. She's been through it all.
She's
been through it all.
So there's not nothing that you're gonna tell her that she hasn't seen. All right, she's seen it.
Olympics, all of it.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the next girl's up and coming coach is Kara Lawson.
Yeah, she's at Duke.
She's building a
that program is
very, very
great program.
It's flourishing. It's flourishing. It is.
I think women's, that's a good call, but I think women's ball in general, because North Carolina State, North Carolina, and Duke all in that conference, and then everybody in the Southeastern Conference. Then you got the out west teams now with UCLA and
USC. Yes.
And then don't forget those Midwestern teams.
Yes.
The number one player in college ball, TCU, Oklahoma got the number one player, Leah Chavez, going there, and they got all but 2 people returning.
Yes.
But now those places become destinations because they played with the big dogs. Oklahoma was in that game with UConn until Paige Beckers took over, and then they had no answer for Paige Beckers.
Yeah.
Or Sarah Strong.
Yeah.
She's
a beast.
Fudd had a bad game.
I know she did. She's Strong as a beast.
She's a freshman.
She
is.
Since I've seen I just watch her play, and she's well beyond her years.
And
well
beyond her
beyond.
talent. You look at her as being like a power forward or something, but she can
Yeah,
handle the ball
and step out and
break
hit
the press,
threes.
Yeah, I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
she does everything.
Yeah, she's good. All right, so let's talk about it. We're down to the Final Four. We'll break it down. UCLA
Plays UConn.
UConn.
That's going to be a tough
UCLA's
game.
big, man.
Yeah, that Lauren Betts, you can't teach size. But the girl they got, El Jaffe, has to be motivated to say, if I'm Coach Auriemma, your job's to play Lauren Betts because she's 6'5", 6'6", and talented herself. She's just younger.
Yeah.
She's got to neutralize. She's got to outwork Lauren Betts. UConn has the talent at every other position to be superior. That cog in the middle is going to be tough because of the shot blocking,
So
getting her down in the post.
So I'm going this way. I see the trio being stronger than the whole. I see those three. I see Beckers, I see Strong, and I see Fudd.
All you need is one of them to get hot.
But I see them three being more complete as a whole than what UCLA is going to be able to put up. I don't think one person or even two people at their best could beat their three. That's the way I see it.
Well, funny you say that because Lauren Betts gets all the attention for UCLA, but I'm looking up the girl's name. I think it's Rice.
Hold on.
She's a player.
Well,
oh, you're forgetting about whatchamacallit sister, the Heat's player sister, Jaquez.
Oh, Jaquez, yeah,
Jaquez.
she's good too. She had 18 points last game.
You're forgetting about her. She's good too.
So they got a three-headed monster. They're just not dominant as Asian,
yes,
but they got three.
You're talking about the girl, Gardner. Is that the one you're
No, I was talking about Rice.
Oh, okay. So they got
Gardner comes off the bench.
Yes.
She had 15 points.
Yes. So you had her. You had Betts.
They're more than just Betts, is my point.
Yes.
But the big three for UConn.
Yes, I think I'm more confident in their big three and them being able to produce more. I think they've been there. With the exception of Strong, of course, she's a freshman. But I think Fudd and obviously Beckers knows what to do.
Yeah, Becca's been in the Final Four every year.
She knows what to do, and she's tough. Every time you look at her, she's under control, never out of control. Every shot it looks like it looks easy.
Yep.
It just looks easy.
She can get anywhere on the court she wants.
Yes.
And I think she has the heart of a champion, that refused to lose mentality. But the advantage, I think, again, that we mentioned on the men's side, Gino's got 11 national championships.
Yeah.
If the game's close and it comes to in-game adjustments and strategies, I think Gino will be able to adjust better than UCLA, only because UCLA, they're good, but they haven't been in that position in years.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time UCLA's women's program has been at the top of the food chain. UConn's there every year.
I said it. Chris got mad at me.
What?
Cheryl Miller.
That might be a
right.
distant
Well,
cousin of Chris or something, man. You know, we don't know.
Let me say this. I gotta get ready to bounce, man. This has been great. And next time I either want to be in studio or on camera.
Oh, well,
But
you got your, I heard you just didn't have your fade done right today, so you didn't want him on camera. Don't blame us. Yeah, you said you didn't get your haircut, so we were like, all right, Chris, you can blame us. Next week you get that lineup, you can come on.
Let me find out you're running around like George Jefferson.
I got you.
Get that reverse fade going on.
Oh, listen. I want everybody to come see me do my best George Jefferson next week at the Whaler Inn Suites.
I heard you were practicing the walk.
We gotta come and rock the house, definitely. But for box office, we know how the women's Final Four has to go. We need South Carolina and UConn for the championship.
That's who I have.
And
That's who I have.
I believe it will be the most watched game. It will be top.
Caitlin Clark numbers.
Caitlin Clark.
It will be in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
Same
No, I'm
neighborhood.
saying because those numbers are going to be tough to beat, but I think
you have the fan base. I
think you got all of women's basketball wanting to see that matchup.
You have the
The
fan base.
fan base, I think, is bigger now than it was with Caitlin Clark.
Well, she helped build that.
Well, yeah,
fan
they
base.
built it.
That's why
It's just
that's why it
carryable.
brought more attention.
But if
That's
you look
why
at
it's bigger now.
the two programs as individuals. So you have
Two outstanding
the old dog against the new dog. You know,
great coaching on both.
UConn is
Like
has
All-Americans
been
all
there.
up and down
They've
each
been
lineup.
sniffing where South Carolina has been successful. So now it makes for the perfect storm.
Well, we know one of us that's getting ready to leave is going to be a homer if that comes true. If we get the UConn South Carolina matchup, Chris, do we need to ask who you're picking?
Okay,
Wow.
you told us.
Put them
I
two legs
can't-
down and answer.
I don't have a pick yet. I got too many dogs in that. I got too many horses in that race, man. I don't. I want it for Dawn. I want it for Malaysia. I want it for Paige. Gino's all set, but yeah, for those three people, yeah, I can't call it yet.
But you
Can't
know
call
what
it yet.
you know what that way of looking at it tells me? You're just going to be a pure fan of women's basketball that night. You just want to see greatness at all
Oh,
levels.
fact.
Let the chips fall where they fall.
Yeah.
Listen, I've been saying this for years. Women's basketball been dope. Y'all need to catch up.
Yeah.
That's what I tell
I'm
people.
definitely on it. I caught the fever last year real bad, and this year I was checking for women's basketball every weekend. Like, who's playing? Is there any good matchups?
Yeah.
And there was a lot.
Yeah, man. It's only getting better. Only getting better.
Hey, Chris.
All right, fellas.
No,
let me
Chris,
jump.
Chris, hold on.
Yo,
Hey, these two guys might be. They might want to let you get off scot-free because you got to do them a favor next weekend. But you don't have to do me a favor. I want to know who you're going to pick to win. If you had to put,
in the women's final.
if you had to put $100 right now to make $1 million, who you picking?
All right, you didn't hear from me. South Carolina. I'm gone. All right, bye.
Chris, thanks a lot
Bye.
for joining us.
All right,
man. We
thank you.
appreciate it.
All right,
Chris,
I'll talk to you guys. Peace, fellas.
I had to get it out of him, man.
All right. So yeah, in a perfect world, I see that. I see those two teams in the final. I see
And it's a rematch of a recently contested game that happened in South Carolina where surprisingly
But it was a blowout.
it was a blowout.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that was right around the time UConn had played a few games healthy.
Yes.
AZ Fudd started playing good. She had a great game against South Carolina.
But
Yeah.
that's the reason why UConn blew them out.
They punched them in the mouth early, and South Carolina never recovered.
Yeah.
And I think that will motivate South Carolina because if I'm Don Staley, they
Payback.
came in our house.
Yeah, and beat us down.
How do you feel about that? You just want to let that go? You don't want to fight back?
Yeah.
Hey,
it's
that could
motivation.
be a plus, but that could also be a negative.
I can see it being nothing but a positive because I feel like she's going to take that negativity out of
Use
their
it for
head and be like,
motivational. Yeah, use it for
you know you had a better team. You just one day you didn't play well.
Yeah.
But does that really make you the better team though?
No.
Because UConn's been good ever since they've been healthy.
It just
Ever since they've been healthy, they've been
Yes, but
rocking.
this is what makes this is what puts the madness into March. There's no givens. We've seen it for years. All it takes is for that one shining moment. And all it takes is for one person to have a special night, change the history of that championship night. And we always see it in some form or fashion. I want to dial back to maybe 7 years ago when what was that girl? Agunwe hit that shot.
Gunagate, yeah.
When she hit that shot,
Notre Dame.
yes, they weren't supposed to win. You know what I'm saying?
But
They weren't
she
supposed
was
to
their
win.
leader. She was fearless.
That's what I'm saying.
And she wanted to step up and make the big play and did.
This is what I'm saying. And what you've done in the past, leading up to that point, you tore it out because it's a 1-game tournament.
Now,
and that's all.
now if UConn wins, I got UConn winning it all, but if UConn wins, is it an upset because they're a 2 seed and everybody else is
Nope.
1?
Because they were not rated
We're
at the
robbed.
top of the pack
We're robbed.
until those injuries
Clear.
overcame.
Yep.
And they already had to go. Now they're gelling.
Yeah.
If they had this team healthy, they would have been the number 1 seed.
I could easily say, you got to remember they only lost by 2 without Ozzie Fudd in stores. So I know it's hard because people don't play or whatever, but it was only a 2. It wasn't like they got blown out. It was just a 2-point loss, and with somebody who averages 17 points. But I think to Steve's point, I think had they been healthy, they were very deserving of a number one.
Yeah, I agree.
The thing is, we're talking about foreshadowing that matchup, and there's no giving on either one of these games because let's not forget Texas is a powerhouse. Texas has beaten South Carolina 2 out of 3 times this year.
Yeah,
they played twice in the regular season and once in the tournament, and Texas beat them twice.
Yep.
And they got Madison Booker, and their point guard's playing off the hook right now, and they got another big girl that helps out Madison Booker down low. There's no giving that that South Carolina beats Texas and that UConn beats UCLA. We're hoping for that, but all 4 of those quality teams are worthy. No matter what 2 teams make the championship, it's going to be good.
They're all 1 seed.
They're all UConn with the injury to Juju is essentially a 1 seed.
I thought they should have been one seed even with.
Yeah, I just think because it took them till midseason to start hitting their stride and stuff that USC stayed ahead of them. They were the 4 and 5 teams in the country, so they ended up in the same bracket. But that was a toss up, no matter what.
Yeah. So like I say, I just see I see those 2 schools, and I have UConn win. I have UConn winning it all. I didn't make a bracket. I just got boggled up, but starting from the Sweet 16, and then to me, I hate to use it this way. As soon as Juju got hurt, I said I feel that UConn has a clear path now to the championship.
It got one step easier.
Yes,
because that game was going to be incredible, and we didn't know. Now, like we said, USC had already handled them, but they didn't have it, FUD. But that rematch was going to be special because similar to what we just said with South Carolina possibly matching up with UConn again, UConn was probably saying they came into our house and beat us, and now we got to show like they wanted that revenge.
Yeah,
and I was so disappointed when that happened, and I remember I missed it. And Brian was like the next day, "Oh, you didn't see the play?" No, because the game came on at 10:00 at night, and I saw the start of it, but I fell asleep before the injury. And then I get up in the morning and I hear Juju's out for the year, and I was like, "What happened?"
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, that's the way I see it. Who am I? I'm just the guy who does a podcast. It's just what I'm hoping for.
I've never been so excited about both men's and college. Last year, I was excited once it got to the Final Four. This year, throughout the whole tournament, I've been excited about men's. And it's funny because I'd rather watch both men's and college women's basketball than watch the pros until the pros get to the playoffs. Like, I'm tired of the overpaid crybabies, overshadowing the talent of the NBA. Like, I got to listen to people's personal beefs and dramas and, this and that. But in college, I still think they're playing, for the names on the front and the back of the shirt.
All right. So we'll be recapping it next week to see what goes on. Both men.
Eric, you got UConn?
Yes.
Both. Yeah. I think it's unanimous.
The only thing we're different on is the men's.
I think it's next week when we come, we can look at it and see who was right and compare our brackets.
Now, before we get off college sports altogether, Derek touched upon it, but here's your time to shine. We were talking about the transfer portal and the record number of people being in there. We talked about a high-profile person leaving St. John's, but 2 new people are coming in, both with loco ties.
Yep.
You want to touch upon how you feel that fit's going to be?
I don't honestly. I thought I was thinking about it, and I've been thinking about it since I heard because they're similar players.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
they are.
They're both 6'5", and they both play the 3. And I just don't see how
one will be the number 2 and one will be the 3.
Yeah, but
Josan was playing the number 2 spot, I believe, at Arizona State. They could put him at shooting guard, and they could put Bryce at small forward. And if Bryce's injury history doesn't catch up to him,
you know why he went to St. John's?
Huh?
To get back with Pitino, because he was at Pitino at Kentucky.
Kentucky, yeah.
I forget about that. That was his first stop before Providence.
He was at Pitino in Kentucky, so that's why I can see why he went to St. John's.
And it's not too far.
No.
Yeah.
Everybody was thinking he was going to go to Georgetown to go play for the other Providence coach. I forget about the relationship with Pitino.
Yeah. So yeah, next week we could talk about it. All we can do a roundup of a review of all of college basketball, both men's and women. All right.
Well, champions will have been decided in both when we come
Yeah.
back next week.
Yeah. All right. So switching gears. Let's talk some NFL news.
Hey, before we do this, did you guys hear about the center from Kansas?
Yeah,
He's been
seventh year.
Seventh year, bro. That's
Been
crazy.
granted Hunter Dickinson been granted
That's
seventh
seventh
year
year.
because of COVID.
That's nuts.
He
Seventh
almost
year.
graduated twice.
Yeah,
He's gonna have his doctorate and everything.
Yeah.
Pretty much. just wanted to throw that
It's
out.
gonna be 35 when he graduates. He'll be like
First guy to
the
retire
he'll be
from
like
college.
what's his name from Florida State, the quarterback there. Was it Hinkie?
Oh yeah.
Wow. When's
Chris Winkie.
Chris Winkie.
Winkie,
Yeah.
Winkie.
Yeah, I was saying Hinkie, Winkie.
And
He'd
I
be
was
like
saying
him.
Winchell. I was-
27,
I-
20,
yeah,
26 years old, 27
He's
years old when he
27 years
graduated.
old playing
Yeah.
college football.
Switching over, NFL news. Quarterback made big news today.
Sent
Raiders.
a lot of subliminal messages that move. That Geno Smith signing, they
was
extended him
big.
for 2 years at $76 million. I don't think they're looking for a young quarterback in the draft when you dedicate that much money.
No.
He already had 2 years left, and they extended him another 2.
They're
That's
basically
4 years.
they're basically saying you're not a gap quarterback, you're our man, and we're going to invest in you like you are.
I think that was discussed before the move even happened there, and that's probably one of the reasons he went to the Raiders. Plus, his old coaches,
I'm saying they got the 74-year-old coach over there, right?
but he knows what he got, and he was the one that gave Geno his chance to revive his career.
I know
He brought out the best out
he
of
was
Geno.
he was a serious journeyman up until
And
that point.
Now I think everybody was tying Shedeur Stevens to the Raiders. I don't see that happening. I see them going after Ashton Gentry or another big play wide receiver. They could take the kid from Colorado, but just not Shedeur Stevens. They could take Mr. Hunter
I think he'll be gone before then.
at 6.
I think he'll be gone with the Giants. Giants or the Patriots? 3 or 4.
I don't think
the Patriots because they already got the defensive
they've already
guys.
got and I don't think
he'd have to only play on offense.
I don't think see
Nickelback.
yeah, but I think he's going to whatever team takes him is going to use him.
I see the Giants taking him more because they have a need on
Shut
both
down
sides.
corner.
Either or.
But he has a better chance to play both sides for the Giants.
They don't have much. The Giants don't have much.
They need it.
I mean, he got neighbors on one side, but you don't have anybody else to complement him. I mean, he was their whole team. But I don't know. For some reason, I think if he wants to make a long-standing career in the league, he takes his money on defense, and he's used in gadget plays 10 to 12 per game.
Yep. There's certain packages that are made up for him. You can use them on special teams if you want.
I wouldn't use them on special teams.
No. High impact collisions. Hell no.
No way.
No.
He's too skinny for that.
Yeah, I'm using them strictly for gadget plays. And just
similar
the threat
to
of him.
early on in Debo's career, even though Debo was built more powerful, but you can let him run as a wide receiver or
listen,
little
as
quick package play.
use him as Dallas used his mentor. You put him in a game for 10 to 12 plays a game, and you have to account for him.
Yeah.
He's out there. You're like, oh my God, you got to watch him. So now the attention gets drawn there, and you could go there.
He's coming out. He's coming out of this place for a reason.
Yeah. So you have all eyes are on him, and that's you can use him that way. Sometimes you can go to him. Sometimes it could be, it could be a distraction for someone else. But I think I know what he's thinking. Like, oh, look at the pay disparage from wide receiver to cornerback. It's a huge difference, but I think his shelf life would be more as a defensive back. I think him hitting as opposed to getting hit would do him a better would be a lot better a lot better for his career in that way. I could be wrong, but I think most teams are thinking that way. I don't think anyone's out there saying we're going to draft him as a wide receiver.
Nah, I don't think so.
I think his strength is because he has great ball skills and reactionary time. And that's part of being a wide receiver. Because of the fact that he's a wide receiver, he has ball skills and awareness. He knows where to get the ball at its peak. Something that a lot of DBs, they struggle with.
But in all reality, a DB is a wide receiver that just can't catch.
That's not true. That's not true.
Because you got to react as a DB.
Yes, you got to
You're
react.
the one creating the moves as a wide receiver.
It's
still the same. No, kind of.
DBs. A lot of DBs you do see drop a lot of passes. A lot of DBs are
they're just as
field
if not
are
more.
field wide receivers. They are, but you can say that, but I don't know. I just see way too many guys that are DBs hit the I see the ball hit him right in the chest and it goes down.
That happened with your boy, with both the Diggs brothers. They were both offensive
Yes.
guys.
So
Vaughn switched over.
He had no choice.
He couldn't catch
He had
the
no.
ball.
Well, no, not catch the ball. The wide receivers that were in front of him was the problem. The wide receiver, the wide receivers, the lineup that was in front of him, and whatchamacallit was truthful with him. He said, "Listen, I love you. I love the fact that you're here, but there's no room for you here offensively. We have a very talented bunch of wide receivers. You're not going to make it here." So he said, "You know what? I'll go play DB." And it worked out pretty good for him.
Mm-hmm. Still had all the very similar athletic skills.
Yeah.
Now you got to react to the guy that you've been all the time. Like, you don't know that guy's going left, right, stopping short, going long. You got to be quick reaction and be able to stick with that guy. But he did it.
So we're still waiting. We're still waiting on the special one.
Mr.
Joe Milton?
Rogers.
No.
The
The guy that might be your quarterback.
Yeah. the guy that's got a minute.
No, odd name keeps coming up with
We're
this
just
dude.
waiting for Minnesota to sign him.
Skull.
That'll set us back.
No, well, it's gonna put you forward, brother. Put you forward right in the freaking third place.
So yes, we're still waiting on him. I think he's the last, one of the last.
I don't know why the league allows him to have this platform at this stage in his career. I'd be like, I'm glad Russell Wilson was like, "Yo, I'm done. I'm taking control of my situation."
He's gonna sign right after OTAs and all that other bullshit.
Yeah.
That's when he's gonna
Let's just see how the draft plays out. I don't want to be the bridge quarterback where I got a new hot rookie looking over my shoulder. So if he goes to Minnesota, that's already there.
Yeah, I don't want to have to do what I had to do to Brett Favre to Brett Favre.
Yeah, I don't want to be the mentor.
I just want to,
I just want to follow. I don't want to do it. I just want to follow Brett Favre.
Yeah, exactly.
Brett Favre went to the Jets. Then he went to Minnesota.
Yep.
I want to do that. I want to go to the Minnesota.
I'm too happy with all the rest of our moves.
Poor Steve.
And now it's exactly 3 weeks from the draft, right?
You wouldn't be happy with Mr. Rogers in your camp?
No, Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, but not Mr. Rogers' quarterback. No.
You wouldn't be. Why? Why wouldn't you be happy with him in your camp?
Because he's going to stunt the growth of McCarthy.
He's trolling you.
He's going to help McCarthy.
He's trolling. You know he's trolling you, right?
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm not.
You're falling for it.
I'm not trolling him.
You're falling for the banana in the tailpipe.
He's going to help Mr. McCarthy out.
Yeah,
that's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
You're falling for the banana. Don't even entertain it.
Come on, Brian. Why would you say that?
I don't know. So wait, hold on. Yeah, we got a comment from him. He would be a good slot wide receiver. Wes Welker made a career running simple routes from the slot, and he's much better athlete. Oh yeah, I agree with that.
But he doesn't have Tom Brady throwing the ball.
Yeah. That's the one thing.
Made Wes Welker a little better.
Yeah, that always helps when you have Tom Brady.
I don't know. Wes Welker was like kind of early in his career. Wes Welker was after Brown, right?
Yes.
So that was still kind of early in Brady's career.
But Brady was still good though. Brady was still good.
Yeah, throwing to the slots because he
but that's how he made his living.
Yeah.
You're gonna give me 7 yards on a curl? I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
You know what? And then I'm gonna hit you when you think I'm throwing a curl. I'm gonna run it out. I'm gonna have my guy running out to the corner, and I'm gonna have a touchdown. He made it. He made his a safe, accurate living.
And he let his receivers be athletes.
Yes.
Once they caught the ball, they moved.
Yes. I mean, I could be wrong, but I mean, I like him more as a DB. I could be wrong. I like him more as a DB, and I honestly think whoever drafts him is going to use him that way. I think they're going to draft him, and they're going to say, okay, you're going to be a number one DB. You're going to be the
New England being the fit.
No, so they signed a guy. Yes, and they've got they're locked down on the other side. So you just think about it, right? Just think about it, right? If you sign another guy, right? If you sign another guy, the Gonzalez kid, he's coming up next year.
Yep.
For contract. You're putting yourself in a world of trouble there.
And they got Davis for 3 years.
That's what I'm saying.
So there's not an immediate path to being a starting cornerback on that team. There's already built-in competition there.
Yeah. I think
somebody's going to be upset.
I think the Patriots are going. They're going to go another.
They need to go offensive line since they signed Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
And then try to get
they signed him to a big contract.
Yeah, 3 years, $69 million or something, $23 million a year.
Yeah.
So now go get that offensive lineman. You've plugged holes. If Diggs is healthy, he'll be suitable. We don't know about his attitude, but then you can.
No, we know about his attitude. We know about his attitude.
In the second round, there'll still be quality wide receivers that you can take a chance on, and their wide receiver room's not bad. Keyshawn Bucci
was good, yeah.
And the other guy they drafted in the second round, he had a conflict of interest with the coach, so he wasn't written into a lot of the offensive formats. And everybody said he had a down year. He only had 7 catches. He didn't have the opportunities. Coach did not game plan.
That's a bad game for some.
Yeah, but you can only catch when you have an opportunity to be on the field. Javon, is it Javon
Hargraves?
No. The wide receiver. And then they got Polk from Washington. That was the number 3. Neither one of those guys, but there was another guy that was their second round draft pick, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, it remains to be seen. We're slightly 3 weeks out.
Take the guy, the safe pick out of LSU, and get that offensive left tackle.
Yeah, I would go with protecting my quarterback.
Yep.
I would go with protecting my quarterback. There's nothing like
left tackle is very, very tough to do, and I guarantee by drafting him, the running game is also going to get better because their running back wasn't bad, but they didn't have an offensive line last year, and they didn't have no
Raymond
Stevenson.
He's a workhorse.
Be suitable
he's
for
a workhorse.
Year or two. You don't have to get a running back.
He catches up the ball well out the backfield,
and he runs the ball,
and he runs hard. Yeah. His problem was he had nagging injuries.
He got worn down.
Yeah. They had nagging injuries too. It was hard to work with what they had. They didn't have much last year. They didn't have explosive players. They didn't have much, so it was easy to key on them. You know, you know what?
Can't do that.
I'm going to press your wide receivers. Yeah, I'm going to press your wide receivers, and we're going to put extra guys in the box because we know that you've got no. I keep saying it. The telltales are you go into waiver wires, all Patriots wide receivers in fantasy football. It's like nope. But yeah, I think he's more than serviceable. He's a big back, and I think he'll do fine. And like you said, you get yourself a nice lineman. That's only gonna. Listen,
you just got the great Bradbury from Minnesota too, right? They did get the great Bradbury.
The best help for a young quarterback is a running game.
Yep.
Because now you take the early downs off with 4 and 5 yards, and you put them in a 3rd and short. Manageable.
It's perfect because that defense is going to keep them in a lot of games.
Yes.
So you won't be getting blown out, too many times. That defense is going to keep the game close. If you got a little bit of, you can control the clock with that ground game, and then let Drake May pick his chances to be great.
That's
big upgrade.
Was there any other news?
Oh shoot, number 26 for Detroit is no longer there.
Number 26 from Detroit.
The running back, number 26.
For who?
For Detroit.
Lions?
Well, that would have to be a 3rd pick.
No
idea who that is.
Mr. Gibbs was 26.
What about him?
He's wearing number 0 now. He was like, yeah.
No, I was thinking it was a 3rd string running back. I wasn't even thinking about a number switch. I was like, somebody who's not named Montgomery again, so who cares?
He's switching number 0.
There was a couple of number changes this week.
Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams went to 0, I thought.
1.
Well, 1.
Yeah.
You had 2 switches. I saw Jameson.
We had a couple of switches. I just seen it today. I was like, what the hell?
Was there any other moves in football? No.
Just
What do you think
just-
about
just
getting
the
your
qu-
backup
just the
quarterback?
Cowboys getting a backup quarterback.
Listen,
I think it's an upgrade from what they had because of what he can do.
well, you cannot knock Cooper Rush because all he did was win.
Yeah, Cooper Rush wasn't bad.
and
They won when
he was
had
8-2.
more support. Yeah,
he was 8-2.
Cooper Rush
They
wasn't
had a
bad.
better offensive line too.
Now he's better than Trey Lance. Yeah.
Way better than
CFL
anybody's better than
legend.
Trey Lance. No, anybody's better than Trey Lance. Listen, what I will say is when he played against top tier teams, he shit the bed. And those 8-2 losses, both of the losses were to Philadelphia, and both of the losses were really bad. And here in his defense, he basically handed the ball off and he completed a lot of short passes. When you force him to get into a long throwing situation, he struggled. That was Cooper Rush in a nutshell. But getting back to this kid, the strong arm, being able to get out and scramble and run,
Very strong.
and to be able to make up make plays on the run. I mind that.
That's what I think he gives that Cooper Rush didn't.
Oh yeah.
You got CeeDee Lamb and some other weapons. They want to get the ball downfield. And I don't think Cooper Rush was the type of
No. He didn't have a strong arm.
We know Milton can get the ball downfield. Just run CeeDee. CeeDee was just throw it out. I'll run to it.
And so the Cowboys have you know what? I don't get it why you tip your hand in what you're doing. It's well known that they're going to go with the first pick, wide receiver.
Yeah.
They're going to go after a wide receiver.
Well, if there's the wide receiver they want there,
hold on.
You go early. Don't go.
Well, yeah, no.
We don't know with Mr. Jerry Jones. He can go with a
no.
Division
So
three, offensive tackle.
So no. This is the thing. They're going to go. They're going to go with wide receiver first. If the wide receiver, then they're going to go with best available.
You know whose name I heard come up at wide receiver, and I think it's way too early for the Cowboys, was the kid from Texas, Golden.
Just the big kid,
Marcus Golden.
Is that the big kid? Is he big?
He's the fastest. He's the guy that was setting time trials.
So I forget who they were looking at. They were looking at somebody who was 6'2".
That might be Victoria McMillan. No, he's 6'5". That's who the Patriot, but he's dropped in start.
The kid from Arizona.
Yeah, Tatoria McMillan was supposed to be the number one wide receiver off the board. Now they're saying he could be the second. That dude might slip down to the 15 to 20 slots.
I don't know. I'll just wait and see.
Today, Marcus Golden, that the Cowboys are interested. I said at number 10 or wherever you pick, 14. Don't you have a high
Kellyanne? Is that the Browns girl?
Nope, Kelly's a Dallas Cowboys fan. I work with Kelly at Vote.
No, she's right. They won't have anything.
Fan.
They won't have
Cowboys.
any. They won't. Wow, that's an interesting mix.
Mm-hmm.
Orioles. That's
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, last week
she was Orioles.
She chimed in about her Orioles, but she's a Cowboys fan.
That's
agreeing with Brian.
That's an interesting mix. Orioles, Cowboys. I've never seen that. It's usually Cowboys, Red Sox, Cowboys, Yankees.
Other winning.
Yeah. That's
nope. She's been both for as long as I've known her.
That's an interesting makeup. All right, so let's see. We'll finish off with we'll talk a little bit of baseball before we get out. So we know that we spoke on the Dodgers, right?
Your boy just got his first 2 hits yesterday.
Yes, he did. Lee Malone. He's gonna be on a hit streak.
Interesting stat. They said Tony
Gwynn.
Gwynn
I knew you were gonna say that.
struck out 15 times a whole season.
Yeah, and this guy struck out 15 times in 3 games.
That's 19 at bat.
Yeah.
Not a contact hit.
Yeah, no.
Just like Tony Gwynn's not a power.
But you know what the crazy part is? Just looking at Rafael Devers in the past.
We know it's gonna turn out.
It's gonna pass.
Yeah.
He is not a bad hitter.
It's like when the weather gets warm.
He is not a bad hit. And let me tell you something. When he's on, that ball's gonna go flying. All right, you could say
that he has a few other bats to protect him.
You could say what you want. I mean, he's going to get through this tough time, and when it goes good for him, it's going to go good. See last year. All you had to do was see last year.
And the other thing I like, me and Brian were talking about it before you came in. Devers is signed till 2032. They just locked up Crochet.
Yep.
and the second baseman, Tristan Campbell.
Campbell signed a big deal, big money.
I didn't think they was that big. It's $7 million a year, but they got him for 8 years.
Yeah, I think he
undersold
I think
himself
he
because he's only
himself.
21 years old. Like, I was like, that's no money. Because in
that's-
5 years, you're probably worth $30 million a year.
All right, so now let's say he just stays way he is right now. That's pretty good for
$7 million though for somebody who's the number one prospect in the minor leagues. Well, he was number one until the Dodgers pitcher, but now he's been playing with the Dodgers now, Rosagi, whatever. But they tied up Crochet, Devers, and Campbell. They got Roman Anthony down on the farm. You know, they got a lot of prospects that they're trying to hold on to. You know, we'll see, but at least they're telling the fan base that we're going to keep our talent, we're going to develop it, and they're going to be here for a while.
Not for nothing, Kelly. You guys got smashed today. You didn't get beat.
He's just rubbing it in.
I'll be nice to you. I'm not gonna. I don't really know you, so I won't give you the Steve treatment. These guys got smashed.
Yeah. Oh, the way you treat me. I thought you were going to say the way I treat Kelly.
No.
Kelly's my girl. We get on real good.
So yeah, and in regards to the torpedo bats,
is there a controversy? That's just they just moved the meat part of the bat up so there's a bigger sweet spot, but they made a big deal out of it.
Listen, so we know
they did hit 9 home runs.
We know 2 games they had
in one game. That first game they had 4 in the first inning.
Yeah, they had 9.
They had 9 for the game. That's what
yes, they had 9, and then they
had 3. They had 3 home runs in the first 3 pitches.
Yes,
and then a 4th dude hit a home run.
Yes,
in the first.
And in the second game they hit 8, another 8. First 3 games it was like 21 home runs. That was a record.
19, I think it was.
Oh, 19. It was a record.
Yeah, it was
a record.
But like now they got the shortstop from Cincinnati. He's using it now. He went 2 for 4. He went 2 for 4 with 2 bombs.
Yeah,
always a copycat thing. Something works for somebody, everybody else.
Why not?
I might as well try it.
Why not?
It's a copycat league. It's so long as it's legal.
There's no advantage. It's just you got a bigger sweet spot.
Yeah. Listen, the one thing with baseball is if you can't put the bat on the ball, you're not going to hit. So if you're putting the bat on the ball, kudos to you. You're doing what you're supposed to do.
People debate the greatest players that are in
Hollywood. Oh yeah.
I don't care how strong you are. If you can't hit the curveball,
he demonstrated it.
Bat 300 all the time.
He did the perfect demonstration. He said, I don't care if you throw 200. I don't care if you throw 200. He goes, I swing down the zone. You provide the power. He said, if I can swing straight through that zone, it's gonna go far.
Yeah.
And I lift it. It's gonna. You remember what he did with the female pitcher there? What's her name?
I don't know that.
The blonde chick.
Yeah, the one that throws underhand. Remember when he gave the tutorial with her? He explained it perfect. He said, listen, people are going to say, you
Jenny
do this.
Finch?
Yeah, Jenny Finch. He said, people are going to say, you can't do this and you can't do that. He says, listen, I'm very tactical. I swing through the zone and there's not a lot of movement. There's not a lot of herky jerky. I am seeing a spot. Okay. My swing's always going to be the same. Okay. So if one guy comes, or one girl comes and she pitches 74 miles an hour and she comes and she pitches not, you're supplying power to my contact. He goes, so the faster you pitch, the fastest and the further it's going to go out, which is, common sense, right? And that's
track and exit velocity.
Yeah.
You got a pitcher throwing 100 miles an hour, it's going out at 115.
Yeah.
Because combined with your swing, that 90 mile an hour fastball with a hard swing and you make good contact, it's going out faster than it came in.
Yeah. So to your point, you can have a guy that lifts 700 pounds. If he can't make contact with the ball, it's not going to go nowhere. But it's a skill.
As another great fact. They said Barry Bonds went up. I forget what year it was. He went up to the plate 100 times, had no hits 100 times, but got on base 104 times.
Because he walks a lot. He has a great eye. He has
They
a
That's
weren't
it.
pitching to him. He was probably intentionally walked like 52 times.
Intentionally walk him.
That's crazy.
Intentionally walk him. They're
Not
like,
every situation, but they were just afraid to pitch to him. But if there was people on base,
there was one game where they walked the bases loaded.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that.
There
They
was one
walked
game
him with the bases loaded because they were so afraid of him. I'll give up the one run.
Yes. I think it was the Padres that game. They walked him with the bases loaded. They were like, we've never seen this one before.
And before he got muscular, he had speed and power.
Yeah, he was stealing.
Even as a
stealing.
skinnier dude, he still hit home runs.
He had three MVPs.
Yeah.
High batting average, high power. He ran
with the Steelers.
one of the best players and talented players I've ever seen. Yeah.
Listen, one of the best arguments that I heard for the steroids era is it was loaded with steroids.
Yep.
It was the era. Okay. That Major League Baseball knew about it.
Yes,
and it worked in their favor.
They
when we were watching
with Mark McGwire and all that, they revived baseball.
Promoted it.
Yeah.
They revived baseball.
Yes. Baseball was on its way out.
What happened was baseball was definitely on its way out. They might have said that they were testing for steroids, but what they were taking was pretty much testosterone, HGH.
Yeah.
That's not at the time that wasn't considered a steroid.
Yeah, exactly.
So they wouldn't test for it.
Yeah.
So they weren't testing positive.
I have more of a problem with somebody using a corked bat like Sammy Sosa. That's trying to deceive and get an advantage, but you got to be able to hit the ball.
Hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
Bottom line, hand-eye coordination.
You still have to hit the ball.
You still have
That
to hit
is
the ball,
right.
but it's going to pop a little more. But like we said earlier, it doesn't matter how big and strong you are. You got to be able to make contact. These guys, Barry Bonds hit for average and for power.
But the thing is, what we were saying was at that time, baseball was just about dying.
Yeah. They needed a boost.
What made it come back?
And they turned a blind eye.
Was the long
ball.
Yeah.
The long ball makes.
And the storylines it created.
Yeah.
Every single game we were watching Sosa and McGwire. They had each one of their at-bats to see if they were going to.
I remember.
Pedro still killed that.
Yeah, I know. I remember getting up, and the first thing I used to go and look for a Sports Center to see who hit a home run
and how far.
Yeah, where was the pace?
Yes.
How far they hit.
I was like, who hit a home run? Who hit a home run? I want to see. And with Barry being on the West Coast, obviously, I'm not staying up to watch a game 1:00 in the morning, so I'm getting up and watching the 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock Sports Center while I'm getting dressed or out the shower or whatever the case is. And boom, I'm watching it. That's how much excitement.
But the crazy part about it wasn't even Barry then. It was
Sosa and McGwire. Yeah.
And
then the following year,
the next year, that's when Barry.
Yes.
Said, "Oh yeah, I'll outdo you both."
Yeah. He went from a 7 1/8 hat to an 8 3/4.
We kind of did, but not really, Kelly.
Yeah. What happened?
The bats. We just kind of mentioned it real quick.
Yeah, we touched upon.
Is there an advantage? Major League Baseball is saying there's nothing illegal about it. They just
every team can use it if they want. Every team can use it. It's not like it was exclusively to the Yankees. They just had the guy. Yes, they had a guy come in and do some research and.
Like, what would make you think of something like that? Like
the sweet spot is only, I think, 4 inches.
Yeah,
and they decided to make it like 6 inches or 7 inches.
But it's just weird.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, you got to remember, weird people are usually the smart people.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so we're gonna wrap the show up, but once again, I'll let Steve do the honors.
One more sports thing I want to just draw attention to real quick. Ovechkin is getting ready to break Wayne Gretzky's all-time scoring record for goals. And the thing that amazed me, they're only 2 games off the pace. Like 835 games, 837 games, and he's exactly 2 goals behind. Yeah. So when I compare that compared to what happened in the home run race, and maybe the Russian, there were so many more games. The LeBron James overtaking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played so many more games than him to get there. This one I can appreciate because they played relatively the same amount of games, but he's going to break it before the end of the season. They got about a week left. He needs 2 goals.
They said that he was probably going to break it by Monday.
Yeah, because he had 2 last night or something to get him within 2. But I wanted to touch on that because that's another big that's another big accomplishment that we don't want to overlook. But once again, it's that time of the month that WMB1's comedy series is coming right around the corner. So this time we're going to be on a Saturday. So next Saturday at our spot, the Whaler Inn and Suites in New Bedford, Mass. We had our host on today helping us out with this broadcast. Chris Tabb does a great job as a host. If you haven't seen him, you want to see him. He's definitely, somebody that entertains.
He said he's coming out looking like George Jefferson.
Yeah, he's practicing the walk and everything, But then we also, Jay the comedian, we've had before. We haven't brought him to New Bedford, but we brought him when we were in other locations. A lot of people enjoy him, so he's going to be headlining the show. And then we got Steph Jones coming down from New York. A little something for the ladies that's going to add the female twist to it. And she's a very funny, hilarious comedian in her own right. So we definitely got 3 people that are going to entertain you to a level that you're going to enjoy. So tickets are available on our website at WMB1.com. You can go right on there and get them. Me and Brian also have hard copy tickets for those that, I dropped off some today. Thank you, Tracy Alves, for supporting. We got the tickets available for you. But once again, pick your poison online, see one of us. We'll get the tickets to you next Saturday. Doors open at 8, showtime 9 o'clock.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll do it. Basically, we'll just wait out the weekend, watch, and see how the Final Four plays out. Both men's and women.
Sides, yep.
Men's and women. We'll see how it works out, and be back here next week to review it as usual. Until then, I guess we'll see you next week.
Great. Thanks for tuning
in.
Peace.
We're out.
I would like to introduce.
Okay, let's go.
New Bedford's new online radio station. WNB1 Radio broadcasting live 24/7. All music genres. WNB1 Radio. Your urban music link.